Hello and welcome to Rose Ed, and it's been a busy fortnight in the world of football with more middle-aged men swapping positions than the last Bring a Friend Day on Hampstead Heath. As Norwich tell Daniel to fuck off, Dean Smith takes up residence at Carrow Road and Stevie G heads to Villa Park. I am, of course, here as always with Hannah East. You right, Hannah?
Well, yes, I'm okay, I think. I'm not okay, I've got COVID.
You're poorly, aren't you?
I am. I tested positive this morning.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh, sympathy.
How are you, Mike?
I've tested positive for being an absolute bellend.
For being a sex bomb.
Can I just point out there's absolutely no sympathy from you there, Joe? You're like, how are you, Mike?
Yeah.
Well, we've been talking for 40 minutes before we did the show. And also every time we tried
38 minutes of which trying to record the intro without me putting you off.
Well, every time we tried to do the intro, Hannah waved at me.
Yeah, because you kept saying hello.
But you hosted an awards show, didn't you, this week, Hannah? That's glamorous.
I did, yeah, which was really good. And I think that's where I caught COVID because towards the end of the night, there was a man that told me he'd had 14 Jaeger bombs.
That's too many.
And yeah, it's too many with the reception drinks and wine on the table. And he came up to me and he was like, I thought you did really well tonight. And as he said, I thought a bit of spit shot out of his mouth onto my lip. And he'd had like an onion starter and I could smell the onion from his bit of spit on my lip. And I joked after and I was like, if I catch COVID, it's from that D1CK head. And look at Joe trying to work out what I just said. And what's that?
Like Minority Report.
Yeah. So then I think that's how I caught it. Probably isn't.
Did you tell him that he's just spat on you, or were you polite and smiled?
No, because I wanted to get away from him because I felt like he was trying, like his hand was coming towards my elbow. That kind of, I didn't need that. You're thinking about that as well.
So I was like, what?
This
Why?
is a lot to process today, isn't it? So yeah, I think that's where I caught it from. I'm very disappointed, but it was a good evening.
But you're on holiday in your own house now.
Yep. So Costa del Loughborough in my bedroom. But I've got two young kids, as you know, so it's going to be pretty difficult not having contact with them. I'm not sure how that's going to work, but I feel like I need to make the most of it. 10 days. Hopefully I won't die. Very lucky that I'm double vaccinated, etc. So I just point that out because obviously some people have had a terrible experience. So hopefully it'll just, I'll be able to do loads of writing and then I can irritate you both and send you messages for the next 10 days.
Mike, how have you been?
Not bad, mate. Not bad. It's been a bit quiet because of the international break, the most boring time of all. But it's a bit of a time to relax a little bit, not be so hectic. And yeah, I don't know. I've sort of enjoyed it a little bit more. Like obviously, England playing against San Marino is just not a fun thing in any way, shape, or form. So yeah, I did not enjoy that.
Harry Kane is still joint with Gary Lineker in the scoring chart. It's going to be another 6 months, isn't it? Potentially, or basically the next international break before he has a chance to break it. Why can't he play well for Spurs, Mike?
Well, because he's not playing against semi-pro footballers. That's probably why. Like, I think we scored 4 against San Marino in a 10-0 thrashing. I don't know. I'm sure he will. I think Antonio Conte will get the best out of him eventually. But just on Antonio Conte, not particularly the best start. 0-0 away at Everton. My mate went up to the game, made the round trip to Merseyside for that. Wasn't too pleased.
They're a tough team to break down. Rafa knows how to organise a team well. I mean, admittedly, no shots on target in the 90 minutes, so that's not ideal. But the way I see it is he's kind of at the moment he's working out who he needs to get rid of, who he can work with. Apparently, he's put Tanguy and Ndombele into solo training with him one-on-one because he believes that's the man he can build his team around. All I'm saying is we're not far off the top of the table. And it's as simple as that, Mike. That's all I'm saying. Hannah, 2 weeks ago, did you think that Steven Gerrard would be the Aston Villa manager?
No, I didn't.
It's weird, isn't it?
And it is weird. It is actually weird. I do like ex-players going into management. I like that kind of the ethos that they're giving back. But you do question sometimes credentials, don't you? And I know you're going to be like, what about Ole? I like Steven Gerrard. I really do like him. But I was quite surprised. Were you?
Well, it's a bit weird, isn't it? Because Dean Smith's done a really good job, and they've sold his best player this summer. And yeah, they've bought other players, but I mean, like I think I'm right in saying that Buendia and Danny Ings have spent something like 30 minutes on the pitch together this season. So I mean, he's been, I don't know. I think Dean Smith's maybe been a little bit hard done by, but he's rocked up at Norwich, Mike. That's weird, isn't it?
Yeah, very weird. I think it was a little bit harsh, but I think the trajectory of the team was heading downwards, and I think they're a club that are aiming for Europe. So I don't really think like they're anywhere near it under Dean Smith. And yeah, he has done a good job, got them up to the Premier League, but I think maybe the life cycle was sort of nearing the end, and that's why they pulled the trigger. But I think Gerrard did a good job at Rangers. But again, I don't really know how much you can judge based on that, because it's a two-team league essentially, even though they did win the Premiership last season. But I think it's a great job for him. Like it's a really great sort of foundation to build from, because they spent a lot of money last season, even though they did get rid of Grealish. They like invested well. Like they signed Leon Bailey, Emi Buendia, Danny Ings. These are like good quality players, so they should be higher than the one they are. So Gerrard's gone in there. The expectations, I think, will be pretty low, like at the beginning. So great job for him. But yeah, Dean Smith at Norwich. I mean, I understand why Lampard swerved that job, because it's like, I think they said like their ambition is to be a top 26 club, so they don't really care if they get relegated.
So what that means, they want to be in the playoffs in the Championship every year.
Yeah, like essentially they don't mind if they just flip between the Premier League and the Championship, which, you know, you have to question what their ambition is really. So I can see why Lampard didn't go. And for Dean Smith, I guess, like, what can you really do? It'll just be a sort of middle of the road job, but you won't be expected to, you know, keep them up, I don't think. And then if they get relegated, you know, it doesn't really matter.
Isn't it weird how some clubs, their ethos is like, right, if we can see that decline in a team, we're going to get rid of the manager, and sort of the smaller teams. And then you look at Man United with Ole, and it's like, persevere. Let's see how we get on. And we've had thrashings. And I know I keep saying, oh, you know, keep and have faith. He's got a vision and stuff. And as Mike, you said the other week, but it's not just something that's been happening recently. This has been happening for a while. But yet, one of the biggest clubs in the world is turning around and not saying, right, we can see the decline, we need to get a new manager. It's just perseverance. Yet a smaller club is saying, okay, let's get rid of the manager immediately.
Well, hang on, because Hannah, because you're famous for your flip-flapping. This week are you Ollie out?
Yeah. I don't really like being asked the question, because, you know, I find it really hard
to answer. Yeah, but I ask you every week. So.
I know you do, because I used to work on MUTV, and I'm very like designed in my head to say something like very politically. But I am so surprised that Ollie didn't go probably months ago. I am surprised, but then I'm not surprised in another sense, which makes me sound like I'm sitting on the fence, that because of the way that Manchester United are, they won't just sack somebody and say, right, we've had 3 really performances, get gone, like go away.
So are you surprised or are you not surprised, Hannah?
I know I am surprised that Man United didn't get rid of him a few months ago. But then I can see from the Man United way, I'm going to call it without sounding cheesy, why they want to persevere. I can see from their perspective why they do that. But from a fan's perspective, people wanted him out a while ago.
Mike, are you any the wiser as to what Hannah thinks?
That was clear as mud, Hannah. Thank you.
Thanks. Listen, that's what I'm here for, to make it crystal clear.
But do you know what I think it is, right, with Ollie? I think it's like he's a company man. So he can be quite easily controlled by the club's hierarchy. He's never going to boot off. He's never going to question anything. Yeah. Whereas if you get someone like, I don't know, a Conte in, or it was someone like, I don't know, Klopp or Guardiola or whoever it might be, these people they're not bigger than the club, but they don't care about saying anything.
Like Jose.
Yeah, exactly. Except, obviously, but he doesn't really back it up with results these days. But like, they don't really mind kind of kicking off and saying their own thing, because if you're a massive name manager, you're going to get another job. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer probably will get another job, but I don't know if anyone in League One. Yeah, I don't know if anyone in the Premier League would hire him.
I just don't understand. I really don't understand. I'm not a football manager. I don't have any qualifications for football coaching or anything like that, but I genuinely don't understand the logic behind his formations. I really don't understand it. And to anybody else looking, I don't think anybody else understands it either. He kind of the way that he's setting teams up week in, week out is just different, and there's no consistency. The players don't know where they're supposed to be, and it looks a bit of a mess. So I'm hoping we've had the international break, things will be reset. And it's awful to say, like, people above I'm sure will have had a word with Ole, and they're like, listen, you kind of hope that Sir Alex Ferguson's gone in and had a chat with him and be like, listen, this is what you need to do, and then change it up a little bit. Because if we carry on like this, it's boring to watch.
I just wonder if there's an element that they're thinking, okay, well, we get in the Champions League, we coast along, we've got a manager who's not going to give us any trouble. And for the business model, that's profitable and that works, and we still flog shirts in the Far East with Pogba on the back. I don't know. Like, that would kind of be my cynical look at it.
Yeah.
I genuinely don't think really that many clubs, like owners, my own club, Mike's, yours, that the owners really care about the fans at all. It is a business and it's a way of generating money. Yeah. And I kind of wonder about that.
I think if Pochettino was available right now, because I think they wanted him a while ago when he was at Spurs, but he didn't leave at the time. I think if he was available, they'd go and get him. But I think it's a lack of options really to replace him. As Joe says, someone who they can sort of not keep control of, but is going to, mold, is going to be someone who's not going to kick off. And I think that's why they didn't get Conte, because he has had disagreements with the board before. Joe's going to look forward to that at Spurs.
Well, no, he wanted to come to a big club and be part of a project that's going somewhere. So a lot of people have asked, why has he come to Tottenham? I mean, to be honest, like finally, it's a bit like finding the one true ring. It's like, it's finally that synergy. Like, you know what I mean? Great club, great manager. And I just think sky's the limit.
You know that's not true, Joe. So just moving on. No, I think if the available manager was there right now, like the manager's sort of in the frame for the United job, like Zinedine Zidane, but I think he wants to manage France. And then you've got Brendan Rodgers, who's obviously still at Leicester. Would he leave mid-season? I don't know. Rodgers. And then it's like you've got managers who maybe would be there, but they're just not available at the time. So I think that's why they've not pulled the trigger. I do think that, you know, Ole will get sacked this season. It's just a matter of time. Yeah, absolutely.
And do you think, would you want to, as a manager, as a big named manager, do you think it would be a gamble to come to Manchester United now? Or do you think it would be quite easy pickings? Would you look at the club and think, right, look at the players you've got, the calibre of players that you've got, look at the money potentially you've got and how you could turn it around? Would you look at what Ole's doing right now and think, yeah, there's loads of changes I could make, it'd be easy. Those players will be eating out the palm of my hand by the end of the season. It would be easy to, in theory, you've got fantastic
Could you do it, Hannah,
players.
do you think?
No, because I'm not qualified, but I mean, I always say that, I'm not qualified to be a manager. But I'm just saying, because, you know, when people are opinionated, like, oh, they should do this, they should do that, it's like, well, you know, back it up with something. But I just wonder, that's the question. Do you think a big name manager would look at United now and think, yeah, that's a great place to go?
Would you not think that all football managers have got this? To be a successful football manager, you've got a massive ego. So they kind of, it's a bit like when this is the example I always use. I always remember Scott Sinclair.
Did you just rub your tits?
I actually just sort of massaged my lower back and stroked my nipples on the way past.
All right. Okay.
I always remember when Scott Sinclair went to Man City, and nobody on earth, apart from Scott Sinclair, thought he was going to get in that first team. But kind of to compete at that level, you've got to have an ego. So I think the rest of us would look at it and be like, what are you doing? It's mental. It's such a dysfunctional club. You got Fergie breathing down your neck. It's this huge corporate machine. Just don't bother. But they're always going to think that they're the one that can turn it around.
Yeah.
And that's why Jose Mourinho keeps getting jobs. Yeah. Even though he's got an awful managerial record the past few years.
I bet he interviews well though, doesn't he, Jose?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I despise Mourinho for many reasons, because I think he can be quite toxic in front of the media. I'm sure he's a lovely guy behind it, but you have to give him credit. Like his ego is huge, like, but the biggest that there is ever. In football history. Like,
and do you not think he plays up to it as well, though?
Oh, of course, yeah. It's like it's like his character. Like, as I said, like I actually think he's probably a really nice guy behind the scenes, but it's this sort of special one ego thing that he's created for him, because it creates an aura. It makes people think that he knows what he's doing. even maybe in recent years when he hasn't really had full control of the situation, which we've seen in a few instances. But
and it's starting to go a little bit belly up for him at Roma, actually. So
yeah, I mean, it's this early into his Roma tenure, and he's already like firing shots at players. You know, I think he said like his B team, his like squad isn't good enough. Like it started already, and things haven't even gone that bad yet. So it'll be an interesting one.
Yeah, I won't get on the wrong side of him.
Mike, Liverpool, Arsenal this weekend. I mean, massive game. Liverpool were in red hot form, but actually that stat was doing the round, wasn't it? Rounds before that after 100 games, Mikel Arteta is the most successful Arsenal manager apart from George Graham.
Yeah, I'm not reading too much into it at the moment because I know that he's had a big turnaround, but I think we've seen this before. Like we've seen Arteta's Arsenal go through purple patches, but the real test is going to be against Liverpool, and we'll see how we stack up against them because, you know, even though they have had a few poor results recently, they're still a top side and title contenders. And we have played, you know, the likes of Leicester. We beat them. Spurs, yeah, you know, they were pretty bad at the time. But throughout this run, I think we've gone 10 unbeaten across all competitions, 8 unbeaten in the league, 6 wins, 2 draws. It has been good, but it's not against top level opposition. I remember when Unai Emery first came, I think, or maybe in his second season, I think he went like 26 games unbeaten. Everyone was like, "Oh my god, like Arsenal are back," blah blah blah. And then, you know, he obviously went and got sacked. So you'd have to look at the opposition and really weigh up like how good has this run been. I think when we play Liverpool, I am fearing it a little bit.
Well, it's weird, isn't it? Is it a good time to play Liverpool? Because obviously it's kind of broken their little run of form, but also it's broken your run of form.
Yeah, I think they enjoy playing against us, Liverpool. Like we've had awful results against them in the past. They've like completely blown us away at times, and I think they will look at us and think, you know, even though we are improved, they'll probably fancy themselves. So they might look at this and think, oh, actually, we've been in bad form. This is a good chance. We'll hopefully be going into it with confidence, but we'll see.
Hannah, I've been dying to ask you because your husband, Andy East, came into the room before we started recording.
Yeah.
And you said he's had his teeth done.
Yeah.
What's he had done to his teeth?
Well, we've both had, you know, Invisalign.
Yeah.
So we've both had that for the last year because my wisdom teeth came through and I had really bad like gum infections and stuff, which is just not fit. So my dentist,
pus leaking out your gob.
No, not pus leaking out, just like red and inflamed and really sore and like throbby gums. Have you had throbby gums before?
I've had throbby gums. When you get a sinus infection, it hurts in your jawbone.
Yeah, so I had that, but all my wisdom teeth were pushing through, and you get to a certain age, and because I'm like a pensioner, they won't take your wisdom teeth out because it can affect all the sensing and stuff in your lips. So my dentist was like, "Listen, what we need to do is get you Invisalign, and it's going to be X amount of money, which is very expensive."
It is expensive.
Yeah, and he was like, "This is what you need to do, and then your teeth will be fine. We'll move your back teeth out and create space." So I came home and I was like, "Oh, I'm having some dentistry work." So Andy East was like, not without me, you're not. So we were that couple that we've been, every time we go to eat, unclipping an Invisalign brace with slabber going everywhere.
Yeah.
We've been that couple. So
that's a nightmare, Hannah.
Yeah, we just.
Is it not so? What? Literally, you keep it in all the time, or only take it out to eat? Do you keep it in
drink.
overnight?
So when you have a cup of tea or a coffee, it's really annoying because you have to take them out because the heat will melt. And then every week you have this dental monitoring kit, and you have to scan your teeth, and then they send it off to America, and then within an hour you get an email back to say move on to your next aligner. And so then they just say it in a message. They don't actually read it.
Send it off to America, do they? They send it to Darren, who's sitting around the back of the tent
in Bradford. Yeah.
Who then records it into an app. Yeah. Move on to your next aligner. So another 500 quid, lads.
Yeah. Who are them dickheads in love for paying for this?
That's become a big part of culture in the last couple of years, though, where you're out with a friend and they'll be like, "Oh, sorry," because Invisalign has become so prevalent, and people just take it out in front of you, and it's just like, good.
And you get a string of saliva, and if you're dehydrated, you get like foam saliva.
Yeah,
so disgusting.
Put me right off me nachos.
I went out for drinks with some presenters, and 3 of us had Invisalign. Sorry, there was me, there was Mike, and then and yeah, three of us had Invisalign because throughout lockdown, when you're wearing masks and stuff.
Who?
I'm not saying the names.
Say it.
Look how like territorial he is.
Say
I'm a presenter too.
Who was it?
Yeah, I'm a presenter.
Give me that number.
Say the names. Let me see if I know them.
No.
hell, this is unbelievable. This happens all the time, right? I'll just get I'll see a photo on Instagram of my presenter friend with another one of my presenter friends, and I'm not there. Why does no one ever invite me?
Why are you so surprised? Like when me and Mike go for our Christmas party and you're not there, you're going to be so fuming. I'm only joking.
Do you know what, right? I'm looking forward to Rose Edmus. I really am. It's going to be nice. Eddie Howe as well, in at Newcastle, Hannah.
Yeah. I love Eddie Howe.
We've branched out on Rose Ed recently, and we've started... There's a new content strand. I don't know if Mike approves, actually. We didn't even ask his permission, did we?
Yeah, Mike, do you think
it went over my head. It completely went over my head. Hannah, we spoke about it a few weeks ago when we went to the pub in Loughborough, didn't we?
Yeah, oh God, yeah. We went out for sushi and had such a laugh, yeah.
You asked me about it and I was like, oh, Hannah, I'm really not sure about this. But then Joe didn't bother to ask me. So, next time we go for a drink, let's properly get into it.
We don't need to invite Joe.
Well, basically, what happens if you jump on...
Look how he's just brushing over it. He doesn't like it at all, does he?
No, I'm used to it. If you jump on at Rosed Pod on Instagram or indeed on TikTok, you'll find there's been some sketches, some hilarious sketches that we've been putting out, and the main joke is that I'm a woman. In all the videos.
Yeah, but let me explain a bit more about this. So we talked about doing some sketches because I do some impression stuff and I love doing this kind of thing. So Joe was like, I said, if you get a couple of wigs and then you can be the girl, I'll be the guy, draw a moustache on and whatever. And then he sent me a picture and he had this brunette wig on with curly hair.
I looked fabulous.
And I was like... And not being funny, but that doesn't work because you actually really suit it. Like you look really nice in this long brown wig with curly hair. So I was like, the idea was that you'd look really, really bad. And I showed it to big old Andy East and he was like, Joe looks too good as a woman. He needs to make it look worse. What did you think? So then you got the blonde one, didn't you? And that looked really shit. So that was good.
What did you think when you saw the brunette wig, Mike? Did it do anything for you?
No, I have to say no. Sorry, mate. The blonde does make you look better. I think the blonde suits you better, to be honest.
Oh, really? In the dressing gown with the glasses on?
Yeah. That was really doing it.
Well, there's more fun stuff to come, I suppose. There is more of that sort of stuff to come, but just for a little taste of it, here's what our characters, the Geordie couple, thought of Eddie Howe.
I wasn't sure, Pet, about these Saudis and that, but they got rid of Steve Bruce and brought in Eddie Howe.
Eddie Howe?
Eddie Howe.
Oh, Eddie Howe?
Eddie Howe.
But babes, aren't you worried about all the other stuff?
Like what, Pet?
The human rights stuff.
As long as me and Darren go over there, watch the tune and have a few tins of Newty Brown, we'll be all right.
They don't drink right.
Oh, weird man. Right, get him out and get rid of that Eddie Howe and all.
Eddie Howe?
There we go. But Hannah, Eddie Howe is at Newcastle United. Were you a bit sad to see someone so nice go somewhere so evil?
It's just a surprise with the credentials that Steve Bruce had to Eddie Howe.
Here we go.
No, I'm not going to go on Steve Bruce, but when you look at it on paper, I was surprised that they've gone for Eddie Howe, but I like Eddie Howe, so I'm not going to slate him. See how they get on, see how he gets on and how he fits into the Newcastle way.
Mike, what do you think about Eddie Howe there? Is it because obviously they need to sort out their defence, don't they? But he's not really going to be the manager that does that.
I was very surprised. When Eddie Howe was in the Premier League, I thought he played his football like he was playing Football Manager a little bit. Like he wanted to play like Barcelona. He wanted his Bournemouth teams to play at Barcelona, but he didn't have the players to do it essentially. And he kept them up for a long while, and he did well, and they did impress at times. But he's an attacking football coach. And what Newcastle needed, I thought, was a battle-hardened Sam Allardyce style coach to get them through this period. Because what's going to happen if you have this huge, £100 million takeover, and then they're in the Championship? It's just going to be useless. They'll still pump loads of money into the team, I'm sure, with investments, but it doesn't look great, does it? If you just spent all this money and then your team's suddenly relegated. So it's a bit strange. I mean, I hope he doesn't keep them up, because for me, it'll be entertaining to watch Newcastle in the Championship. If they sign Kylian Mbappe, like Kylian Mbappe, he's not going to go there. But just imagine like those sorts of players in a championship, it will be unbelievable. So for the entertainment factor, I sort of hoping they go down. For Eddie Howe, he's a lovely guy. I hope they stay up for him, but I'm not sure. It's a weird appointment. I thought they'd go for someone like with a bit of Premier League experience on a short-term contract. Maybe even kept Steve Bruce, probably what they should have done, and then gone for like the high-profile manager next season when their status was secured.
Yeah, because that's the other question. Can I ask? Sorry, Joe, I feel like you're going to ask a question. I've just totally interjected, but you're about to cough and you've turned your mic off, so I'm going to ask a question. What's your thoughts about sort of getting a manager in mid-season? Are people better off to wait till the end of the season, see it through, or like you just said, suggested Mike, a short-term manager? And then
It's just where you are at the moment. So Spurs, obviously, like we're in an absolute dark hole, weren't they? With Nuno,
like, rotting,
like awful, like terrible. So Antonio Conte was available, and they got him, and that's probably the best appointment that they could have made, unfortunately. So it just depends on your situation. Like obviously United, they need someone mid-season because I think they're just going down on a downward spiral. Yeah. So it just depends. But Steve Bruce, like. I don't want to bring him up again because we sound a bit like his PR agency, but
we do. But we love him, don't we?
It was harsh. We do. He's just such a lovely geezer.
He's so cute. Well, you know.
So Hannah, you know Park Ji-sung, right? Do you remember Park Ji-sung?
You're sorry.
Do you remember Park Ji-sung?
Yeah.
so that's a good.
You're like two. I've got a 2-second delay on your mouth, like speaking to visually, and that was just really weird. I didn't know if it's like a COVID thing.
And also I did just turn around and just shout, "Do you know Park Ji-sung?"
You really scared me.
Well, the reason I'm asking is because. Sorry.
Yeah, what the are you talking about?
So I was just going to say, finally, Patrice Evra has asked Park Ji-sung to be the godfather of his child, which is nice.
Where do you get this information from? Like, what websites do you go on, Joe? This really worries me sometimes.
ParkJisung.net.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
I was going to say, which footballer or figure in football would you like to be the godfather of your children?
Oh, question on the spot.
So, I mean,
I'd say Wayne Rooney to respect your elders.
Well, he certainly did that.
Exactly.
A lot more.
That's the one that came to mind. Speaking of Wayne Rooney, though, I know we don't really want to talk about Derby, do we?
We can.
Are we going to mention Derby?
Yeah, do whatever you like. I just shouted Park Ji-sung at you.
That they've been deducted, 20 points, is it now?
Yep.
Yeah, and apparently I've heard from an inside source.
Have you? Who's the inside source? You're not
Rosette exclusive.
It's probably totally incorrect. No, but from a very good source, that Wayne Rooney has been out of pocket paying for some wages. He's been paying for hotels for players to stay in and staff. And people at Derby are like, I genuinely can't believe that he didn't leave when he got the chance. And he said to them, listen, I've put my trust and my faith into you, the same that you've done to me, so I'm not going to let you down. But I think that really says a lot about him.
He's been putting Ethel the tea lady up. She's in the penthouse.
Take your teeth out, hun. Here we go.
I only live round the corner, Wayne. Don't be silly, love. Having the fucking Premier in, you know what I mean? Is that libelous? Sorry, Wayne. You did a good thing.
I didn't realise he's been keeping the retirement home up for years. No, that's new dimension. We're going to have to cut that out as well.
I can leave that in about me saying that about Wayne Rooney, can't I? Mike?
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah, I mean, look, I've got a wet nose now because I've been laughing so much.
I like it when Hannah laughs, she gets a wet nose like a dog when they're happy. Oh, dear. I think that's probably quite a good place to leave it, isn't it?
I think so.
Oh, dear. Hannah East, thank you very much. I mean, are you worried about the lawsuit from Wayne Rooney?
I'm more worried about dying from COVID, but hopefully Wayne won't sabotage me.
Well, if you're still with us next week, then we can deal with Wayne's legal team then. Mike, thank you very much.
Cheers. I love how it turned from like such a nice story about Wayne Rooney trying to help people turned into that. Poor lad.
And we will see you next time.
Bye.